Michael Wilbon joins us now. Michael, you've seen so many of these, and the dust is still settling, so our vision, our focus maybe isn't crystal clear. You know, Monty's going to go back and look at the tape. But as I ask you right now, about a 33-21 fourth quarter, where a Suns 6-point lead turns into a 6-point loss, and I ask you, Michael, what happened? What would your answer be?
The same thing that happened all game, Scott. We have talked about the Suns almost never beating themselves, right? The whole season, they just don't beat themselves. That's one of the themes coming in to the finals, because it was true in every series. They beat themselves tonight. And the fourth quarter is no different from the rest of the game. You look at those two 17-5 margins, 17-5 offensive rebounding, Milwaukee over Phoenix. Okay, you can understand that. The Suns are small, and without Saric, they're smaller. And that's going to happen. They're going to get beat on the boards, particularly by a team with the strength and size of Milwaukee. But 17 turnovers to 5 turnovers, the Bucks protected the ball, and the Suns just gave it away. These turnovers, and you heard Monty refer to it, they weren't forced. This is like tennis with unforced errors. Right. Unforced. Stepping on the baseline a couple of times, stepping on the sideline a couple of times. Chris Paul had 5 turnovers to only 7 assists. And they just seemed weak with the ball. They seemed tired. Again, Monty addressed that and said, we don't have time for tired. But they played that way. And so as great as Middleton was, and he was great, and as great as Giannis's block was, I just got a text. I probably shouldn't mention this because I don't know if it's on the record or off the record, but it's complimentary. It should be on the record. It's from a coach whose jersey hangs in the rafters here, so you can sort of figure that out. Yeah. Who just said, this is one of the greatest blocks I've ever seen. It's one of the greatest blocks anybody's ever seen. You start screaming. I was sitting here with Richard Jefferson and Perk, and you're breathless because you can't believe what he's gone up and done to Ayton. Not some 6'7" dude. Man, he did this against DeAndre Ayton, who's having a great playoffs himself, though not scoring tonight. But those turnovers and that offensive rebounding, to me, if you're Milwaukee, you got to feel you have an advantage. You found something. The rebounding can stay because it's size involved. But those turnovers, I mean, the Suns have got a real problem if they can't protect the ball any better than that. They should be going home, Scott, to play for an NBA championship. And they somewhere between let it slip and handed it over. And I guess we're going to talk about that for the next 2 days as we figure out, before Game 5, can the Suns, rally themselves? It's got to be a really disappointing loss. And I think Monty knows that, which is why he made the comments he made to his team immediately in that locker room.
And I want to follow with that, Michael, because you've seen so many of these, and I smile as I ask this question because through the years that I've been doing this show, you and I have talked about these moments where there is this tendency to want to take what has happened most recently and apply it to what's about to happen next. And that's often a fool's errand because things change from day to day and game to game. That said, do you feel like, having watched these 4 games that have all been won by the home team, you have any sense of clarity about what will happen next?
No. If you tell me that Milwaukee's going to get that kind of, that's from the Bill Russell archives, that block, right, of Ayton's dunk. If you tell me there's going to be that kind of game-changing play in the final, whatever it was, minute and change, okay, I can tell you that Milwaukee has momentum, but we don't know we're going to see that. You can tell me, I don't know what happened, but Chris Paul wasn't himself tonight. He didn't have it. Now, Anybody gets a game, even a future Hall of Famer who's played like he has played this whole postseason, I don't care who you are, you can get one where you just don't have it that night. I thought Chris was so determined to set up his teammates in the first half that he never got into a rhythm. And by the time he needed to, was probably late in the game, and he had done that. He knew he had to get Book, help Book get going to where he was going to have one of those great Devin Booker nights, and he did. But if you can tell me that you're going to have a similar script, sure, you can read it and say, oh, yeah, here's what's going to happen. I don't believe that. I don't believe Chris Paul has come this far to simply not have it in Game 5 at home in Phoenix. I don't know that Booker can have 42 again, but he may not need to. Other Suns players, because they didn't really help Booker out the entire game, didn't help him out early tonight. Jay Crowder hit 3 threes, but I think he was 3 for 9. So the Suns are going to have to really go back and examine. Just this one quick thing, Scott, that, watching, you mentioned watching all these games. I've watched and covered all these games. Players suffering. Unless you're Irvin Johnson, Everybody else, maybe not Tim Duncan. Okay, so there's two guys in the history of the game who haven't suffered en route to winning a championship. That means LeBron, who had that series where he got just stuffed by San Antonio. It means Michael Jordan, who lost to the Pistons 3 times en route to finally, slaying the dragon that tormented him. And one thing I thought about, I picked the Suns to win this game. And I said to Perk, during late in the game, I just said, the Suns are going to give this away. And it requires suffering. Winning a championship in this sport more than any other. It's not like pro football where people go from last to first. It just isn't. In this sport, the greatest players in the game, how many times Jerry West lose in the finals? To one team, no less. It requires suffering. The Suns are feeling that tonight. I don't care what brave face they put on the next, 72 hours between now and Game 5. They suffered tonight because they know they should be playing at home for a championship. But that's the way this sport is, and I think that's the glory of it, the greatness of it, the drama of it. Richard Jefferson is standing right here next to me. He knows. He's been through that and then got to the other side of it. And that's suffering, man. I mean, if you're the Suns and you had that lead and you got closers, you got Devin Booker and CP3, probably in the reverse order. What are you going to do? How are you going to rally that yourselves between now and then?
Suffering is the truth, and so is this. Anything worth having is on the other side of something difficult. Winning championships is hard, and it will be hard for either of these teams to win 2 of the remaining 3 games and become NBA champions in 21. Michael, thank you for your time. Nothing he could do there. Tie game. Again, it's Connaughton. That's a 2. Booker absolutely cooking. Again, using the strength and the size advantage on Holiday. The lead is 6. Booker tied for the second most points through 3 quarters in the last 25 NBA Finals. 38, but had some foul trouble that he had to try to manage. Drew Holiday. That's halfway down. No. The foul is called on Booker. The shoulder into P.J. Tucker. That's 5. Early 4th. Booker's frustration evident as he goes to the bench. Can the Bucks take advantage in his absence? Giannis gets the flush. It's a 3-point game. Then Chris Middleton with Ayton challenging off the window. Booker finally checks back in. They were looking for him. The Bucks in transition. Holiday, that's not a foul on Booker. That would have fouled him out.
And around the wait.
That's incredible that that's not a foul call. So it works out for the Suns that they don't lose Booker, but it works out for the Bucks because they get the bucket, and it's a 1-point game. 1-point game, about 3.5 to go. Chris Paul unable to get that shot through Giannis. Comes back the other way. Giannis, Pat Connaughton, that's down. He had one rattle out earlier, and finally the Bucks, it felt like that Clipper game. They had so many chances to tie or take the lead. Finally they did. Then Booker evens it right back up. Now the Suns lead by 2. Middleton looking for the defender behind him, finds that clean airspace, ties things back up at 99. Middleton again, bottoms. Suns by 2. Booker, maybe the play of the game. That has got to be a dunk from Ayton in pretty much any other circumstance.
Incredible.
But that's an unbelievable block from Giannis. But the Suns get a stop. Then Paul loses the handle as he falls to the ground. The Bucks, they got a 3-on-1. Booker can't foul. Still challenge the shot of Middleton. The lead is 4 under 30 to go. Milwaukee hoping that this is the night they even things back up. Booker, the miss. The Bucks, the rebound. Middleton would go to the free throw line. Whoa. 42 for Booker, tremendous, but 40 for Middleton. And you see the final 5.5 of the 4th quarter. Suns held a 5-point lead, having to try to manage the foul situation that involved Booker. The Bucks able to outscore the Suns 19-8 down the stretch. Suns a couple of costly turnovers, only able to make 3 of their 10 shots down the stretch. Brand new series, best of 3, from here. And we welcome in Tim Legler. We get a look at him as we get a look at the Deer District in Milwaukee. Man, they're fireworks and enjoying. There's a lot going on in this game, Legs. As always, I give you a wide berth to just tell me where you want to go first about what ultimately determined this game.
Yeah, there were half a dozen times, Scott, when I thought